Hello, everybody. Welcome, Little Rusty Bucket. Subscribe to the channel, drop a like, hype the video, and all of that. Try and hit 40k subs. That subscription would be much appreciated. I am talking about Domantas Sabonis today and his potential trade destinations, as it has been reported that the Kings are shopping around, and there are a couple of teams that are interested. So we're going to do the same thing we did with the Anthony Davis video, where we're just going to go through and look at every team in the league, not come up with like super specific trade packages, but just be like, hey, does this fit make any level of sense? So without further ado, let's get into it. First of all, the Detroit Pistons, Jalen Duren's been far too good this year. No. The Knicks have Cat and Mitchell Robinson, so no. The Philadelphia 76ers, that would be an interesting way to get rid of Joel Embiid, and I can't imagine a more Sacramento Kings thing to do than trading for Joel Embiid in the year of 2025. So maybe a big man swap there, but otherwise, if they're keeping Joe, there's fucking no reason to do that at all. Cavaliers have two really great big men. No need to mess with that. The Atlanta Hawks, again, Kristaps Porzingis, I said the same thing with the Anthony Davis trade, where it's like Kristaps Porzingis is so injury prone that I could maybe see them getting in on that if Porzingis ends up dealing with some kind of injury. But assuming that such a thing does not happen, yeah, the Hawks really have no reason to have any interest. The Toronto Raptors, I do think Sabonis is an upgrade over Jakob Poeltl. However, the Raptors do have a more defensive identity, and I just don't know that it makes a lot of sense for them to move on from that for someone like Sabonis. Not to mention, like, they have their spacing issues. Obviously, Jakob Poeltl can't shoot either. But, like, if I'm going to trade for an offensively minded big man in the year of 2025, I want that player to be able to shoot the ball. Like, literally, Cat and Jokic are the only offensively minded centers that I would feel comfortable building around in some capacity or the other. And even with Cat, I'm like, I don't fucking know if I really want him even playing the center position. He does better at power forward next to Mitchell Robinson or in the past Rudy Gobert, but even still, it's not great. So really, I don't care for Domantas Sabonis, and it really takes a very specific context in order for him to succeed. So yeah, I don't think the Raptors would do it. I don't think the Bucks would do it, given, again, the spacing issues and Miles Turner being a stretch big next to Giannis. Miami Heat have no real reason to do it because of Bam, plus they're also starting double bigs because Bam and Ware are starting together a decent bit, or at least playing together a decent bit. The Chicago Bulls, I suppose that could be a upgrade over Vucevic, but like really, I would kind of rather just have Vucevic, the shooter, who's also a capable passer, over Sabonis, who's a better passer, but like can't shoot. So who really gives a fuck? The Orlando Magic, I think they could use a point center just because they in general could use more playmaking with that team. However, their identity is also defense first, so I don't really know why they would do it. The Boston Celtics, I could maybe see doing it, but probably not this year. They have been competitive, so maybe they want to be more competitive, but I have to imagine Sabonis is not really the move there. I could see them making that work because they have a really good perimeter defense, and they don't really have like a super great lead playmaker. Like Drew Holiday's gone and he wasn't even really that. Jason Tatum, I think, has been asked to be a point forward far too much in his career. So like, I don't fully hate that idea, but I still wouldn't really go for it. The Charlotte Hornets, Ryan Kalkbrenner has been really good this year, like really, really, really good. So I would kind of just want to stick with those guns, but I will say that Charlotte is one of the teams that I could see trading for him. I've also heard rumors of him being traded to Charlotte a few times throughout the years. Well, apparently Patrick Beverley just got arrested for assault. That is neither here nor there. The Brooklyn Nets, no, I don't think any of these teams here makes any kind of sense because of how bad they are. Ironically, I could see Sabonis actually being pretty good on the Indiana Pacers, but that ship has probably sailed. Thunder, no. Nuggets, no. Spurs, no. Rockets, no. Lakers, no. Nah, I don't think that really makes sense. I think they've got enough offense that they really do not need to get an offensively minded five. If anything, DeAndre Ayton is a little bit too skewed towards being an offensive 5, so I don't really think that's the move personally. The Minnesota Timberwolves, I have mentioned that I don't hate the idea of moving on from Rudy Gobert. However, I wouldn't do it for Domantas Sabonis. Man, I am blazing through these and I am not finding anybody who Domantas Sabonis makes sense for. According to the report, there are like a couple of teams that inquired about him, but like I'm starting to struggle to see teams where it makes sense, although there are a couple of them towards the bottom here. The thumbnail is actually going to be Sabonis and a Phoenix Suns jersey because I think that is the trade that makes the most sense. As I said with the Anthony Davis deal, I'm sure there are Suns fans in the comments who are screaming that that's a terrible idea, and I'm not necessarily going to disagree. I think that's a player who a lot of different fan bases will be upset to see their team add. But Mark Williams is cool. The other guy, Oso, he's pretty solid, but like it's also not an amazing center core by any means. And the Phoenix Suns don't really have any sense of primary playmaking, and you could absolutely convince me that De'Aaron Fox and Sabonis's relationship would translate to a good Devin Booker-Sabonis relationship. Obviously, Devin plays a little bit differently, but I still think the two-man game there would be very strong. For the Portland Trailblazers, again, more of a defensively oriented team, although their offense has been pretty good this year thanks to Denny Avdia. I am inclined to say no. Donovan Clingan, they seem pretty invested in, and he's pretty decent. They have Yang Hansen. They also have Robert Williams whenever he is healthy. So they have a pretty good center core, and I don't really know that they need to get that playmaking center out there either. It's just such a specific archetype, dude. Now, the Golden State Warriors are also a pretty damn good fit. In fact, I would probably say the Suns and the Warriors are the two best options for Sabonis, because for Golden State, they could use the playmaking out of the 5 position. He would fit right into the Warriors system because he's capable of being a good playmaker. It would just also juice the talent on this team. In fact, let me go ahead and look what the Warriors payroll is. Yeah, it would probably be a deal that includes Jonathan Kuminga. I don't even actually know how much money Sabonis makes. It's probably north of 30 and maybe even over 40, but if it is over 40, it's probably barely, if I'm remembering correctly. Yeah, he makes 42. Yeah, that sounds right. So yeah, the Warriors 22. This does make the money does become complicated here without moving Draymond Green. You can feel good about moving Al Horford as well, but that's still leaving $15 million on the books, and I don't really want to trade Buddy Hield too. And then you still have some money to make up for. So I don't know if they could actually make it happen contractually, but like I could see the fit working. I have liked the idea of Al Horford as the center for this team because he can theoretically be a floor spacer. However, he has not exactly done that successfully thus far this year. So yeah, that is a situation where I don't hate the fit, but it's hard for me to imagine the actual trade working out. But I do like the fit there between the Phoenix Suns and the Golden State Warriors. The Utah Jazz, Walker Kessler is really good. Unfortunately, he is hurt for the year, but like doesn't really make sense to trade for Sabonis in his wake. They should definitely still be bad. Like they have Ace Bailey is a cool prospect, but I still think, especially with how good this draft class is, that you should still be targeting a high lottery pick more so than trying to be competitive this year. The Memphis Grizzlies, I don't hate that idea, especially because, again, like the De'Aaron Fox-Sabonis relationship, Fox was a better shooter than Ja Morant, but he wasn't necessarily a great one. So, like, I still think for the most part, their pick and roll duo could work pretty successfully. I think Jaren isn't the greatest screener in the world, so that would open up more opportunity for him to be more of an off-ball guy, be a cutter, be a catch-and-shoot guy. Sabonis' playmaking, I think, would add a lot to that offense, and he's a very good finisher and rebounder as well. And the rebounding thing is actually big with the Grizzlies because Jaren can't fucking rebound. But they also have a lot invested in Zach Edey, rightly or wrongly. They do seem to feel like he's a big part of the future. So I would understand if they were hesitant on that one. I would understand if literally everyone's fucking hesitant about this. The Clippers doesn't make sense, even though apparently Tyronn Lue thinks that Zubac is the third best player, or the fourth best player on that team, rather. he said like, oh, it really hurts to lose your third best player, and he was talking about Bradley Beal, who's been dog shit this season. Like, what the fuck are you talking about, Lou? Kings can't trade for Sabonis, unfortunately. It would make a lot of sense for them to do that, given that they already did. Dallas Mavericks, that would be funny, but they're about to blow it up. And the Pelicans, no, Derek Queen is a really good playmaking five. So yeah, I don't think there's anyone in the East who should trade for Sabonis. Again, I could maybe see the Hornets and Celtics, but that's the only one where I'm like, yeah, maybe. And then I would say the Suns make a lot of sense. The Warriors make sense, but it's not really doable contract-wise. And the Grizzlies kind of make sense. So really, there's only one team in the league that I'm like, oh yeah, I actually think they should trade for Sabonis, and that is the Phoenix Suns. And that's only because the asking price will be low. Like you could do Dylan, Royce, and then I don't know, Maluach. I don't even. Yeah, he's their rookie, so they're not gonna trade him. He's barely fucking played though. Yeah, they got a good amount of like $5-6 million contracts. Like you could do Royce, Dylan, and Richards and like Nazir Little, and that's 18 plus 21 gets you to 39. So assuming that they're not like directly on the apron, yeah, that could work. That is two good rotation pieces and a decent one in Nick Richards that you would be getting rid of. So that's not great, but you wouldn't have to give up draft capital. It's probably the best chance you have at getting like a star level big man without having to give up fucking anything, or really a star level player, period. So yeah, I think it makes a good amount of sense for the Phoenix Suns, but I don't think it makes sense really for just about anybody else. Again, the Warriors probably just can't do it. So yeah, who should trade for Domantas Sabonis? Nobody. Nope, not really. But yeah, that's it. Thank you so much for watching, and goodbye.